Anything else on the 2014 playoff, Greg? I think we've covered it pretty extensively. Any final defenses of it or comments on teams or anything else?
Oh, the only thing I would say is I think if it happens, it's going to happen because the SEC got what they wanted. They're getting some extra money out of the distribution money. ESPN gets a couple of more games, playoff games, something. And I call it the Highway 24 toll tax. The SEC is going to put up a toll tax for people to use the Highway 24 to get the 2014 playoffs. The SEC is going to have to get paid off in a couple of different ways. So,
yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, there's other things even superseding that, and that's the SEC silo situation. Mm-hmm. The Cruz-Cantwell bill, if that doesn't satisfy the Big Ten and the SEC, if the SCORE Act doesn't pass, if there is no codification of the House settlement, and the SEC doesn't trust anybody, and they don't trust anybody, and they're going to try to govern themselves, and they go silo, that's going to blow up everything anyway. So very dramatic next couple of weeks. So keep an eye on Big Ten Huddle, okay? Very dramatic next couple of weeks.
Can you give fans, maybe just real fast, because I do think this is a subject some people are interested in, can you give fans any, few things to look out for, maybe news to look out for, or comments made from Big Ten coaches or Big Ten administrators or anything like that to look out for regarding the possibility of the SEC breakaway from the NCAA? And as we know, the Big Ten, as much as they don't talk about it as much as the SEC, but they could be looking at something like that. Of course, we know Big Ten meetings happening this week, SEC spring meetings happening the following week. It's going to be very interesting to see what comes next.
It's been reported by Ross Dellinger that the Big Ten is also making their outline plans for a breakaway. If the SEC does it, the Big Ten will follow the SEC in doing that. We've also heard report last week. I can't remember if it was Ross Dellinger or Heather Dinich. Heather Dinich reported this. ESPN. She said that the strategic scheduling alliance between the SEC and the Big Ten is still on the table when it comes to football. They're still talking about it. So if you can imagine, if you will, the SEC says we're done with all this, we'll break away. The Big Ten, we're done with all this, we break away. And then they line up a scheduling agreement, 1 non-conference games among those 2 conferences. Take all of that money. So
ESPN and Fox would be okay with that, Greg. They would have no.
I suppose. As a football fan, I don't want to see that happen. I don't. I love watching Big 12. I love watching ACC. I get into G6. I love their access. Very limited, but that's I love all that. I'm trying to keep us together. That's why I'm advocating for the 2014 playoff. I think it keeps us together. The dance, the 76 team dance of March Madness, that has been going on for years and years and years. And I think that has helped keep Division I basketball together, right? It's kept us together. If it wasn't for that, I think something else would have happened a long time ago. In the SEC, if they break away, and if the Southeastern Conference says we're going to govern by ourselves, we're going to make our own rules, we're going to enforce our own rules, we're going to hand out the punishment ourselves, that means they've broken away from the NCAA. And if that means they've broken away from the NCAA, does that mean they don't play in the NCAA basketball tournament? I mean, this thing could go in all different directions. It's like when you start a war, JR, right? You got plans to execute a war in a certain way, but it never goes to plan. There's always something that goes haywire. That's what this thing is. If the SEC, if they think they've got it all figured out and they break away and the Big Ten breaks away, who knows what's going to happen? This is uncharted waters that JR is talking about here. Uncharted waters. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen the threat before, but not to this serious extent.
Jacober Cat coming back with another $2 super chat. Appreciate that, Jacober Cat. He asks, does breakaway mean everything collapse right away? So I think is what he's saying here is, could we see if a breakaway does happen, would that affect this coming season, 2026, maybe 2027? Any ideas, Greg?
Nope, no idea. We don't know how extreme do they take it. Does the SEC say we're breaking away and we're only going to play each other during the regular season? 12 conference SEC games. And if you're willing to follow our rules, our guidance, then maybe we'll play you in the playoffs. Are they going to take it to that extreme right away? Or is it, we don't know, Jacober Cat, man, we do not know. The timing, how extreme it gets right away. Is it going to be sort of a soft breakaway or an extreme hard breakaway?
Yeah,
I don't know.
All great points, because there is the opportunity for a breakaway, but the NCAA or the SEC and the Big Ten kind of do it together, as you discussed. I think if that happened, honestly, the college football fan in me would not be happy with something like that, but the Big Ten fan in me would say, all right, the regular season just got a whole bunch better games and just got a whole heck of a lot more important than it was. Not to say it wasn't important, but if all of your games are SEC and Big Ten, if you have a scheduling agreement, and we can't forget, Greg, I know you talked about this on your show, but we can't forget the Big Ten and the SEC, they have started moving closer. They have a volleyball scheduling agreement in the next few years. So, I mean, as much as it did look like they were just, brothers that hated each other here for a while and never worked together, I always knew there was some stuff under there a little bit to say, okay, we don't like each other, but we know we kind of need each other. And it seems like that might be happening a little bit more than some people might think.
We always talk about the blend, that when conferences expand, they're looking for that correct blend between market, demographics. They're looking at, like, Washington and Oregon was the perfect blend for the Big Ten, right? The SEC and the Big Ten really are the perfect blend. The SEC and ESPN would love the Big Ten markets, would love not the demographics, but the purchasing power of the Big Ten markets. The national advertisers love the purchasing power of the Big Ten markets. They buy the products and services that the national advertisers put out there. That is why the Big Ten makes so much money, even though the ratings are not like the SEC ratings. The Big Ten would love the eyeballs that the SEC fans would bring to the Big Ten content. So it really is a perfect blend if they decided to go in that direction. That is why it was also reported that CBS, NBC, Amazon, ESPN were all looking at this 48-team Super League and how valuable that would be. SEC, Big Ten teams, and a few more added. And again, it gets back to that perfect blend. SEC, Big Ten, they're different from each other. They're so different from each other. They're almost like the perfect marriage with each other.
And if that breakaway does happen, Jacober Cat, I see your next super chat. We'll get there in just a second. If that does happen, the Big Ten and the SEC are probably not just breaking away on their own. There probably are some other programs that they're thinking about that maybe, will be added, or maybe given some exemptions for some time or something like that. Thinking of Miami, you've talked about North Carolina on your program before. I mean, there are some programs that definitely the Big Ten and the SEC would be interested in saying, hey, come on over here with us. Here's a big pile of money. Colleges have a hard time saying no to that.
Yeah.
So Jacober Cat says, my ex-girlfriend chose the hard extreme breakaway. If the SEC chooses the hard extreme breakaway route, college football as we know it will get very different very, very fast.
Mr. Hawkeye, Jacober Cat, it must have been a beautiful golden gopher lady who did that.
There you go. There you go. All right. Sunshine says, love the volleyball. I love it too. I don't get to see enough of the volleyball, but Big Ten Plus, and whenever they have a game on the Big Ten Network, listen, nobody can say anything bad about the Huskers volleyball, especially the women's volleyball, right? Greg can take his shots at the Husker football team, but when it comes to women's volleyball,
I can't take a shot at their baseball program. I can't no longer take a shot at their basketball program. Their softball women's made it to the super regional for the first time ever. Congratulations to the Husker women's softball team. But yeah, I'm going to keep burying that football team until they can beat my beloved Golden Gophers.
There you go. I think Nico Medved is good for Minnesota, though, right?
They had a shockingly good season last year. That was a shock.
They had a ton of injuries. If they were healthy,
they were playing 5 guys, 6 guys. The 6th guy, they had a ton of, and they weren't supposed to be any good. I mean, it was a shockingly good year. Now they had a bunch of transfer portal acquisitions that a lot of basketball people are excited about. But I don't know, and I don't follow it like I used to, because once you start doing a college football national YouTube channel, other things kind of slide away. There's only so much that I can get put up in the original Minnesota moron's head right here. So